Namaskar. Heartfelt gratitude to you for being here. The chosen prayer is the prayer written by the mother on May 24th, 1914. Love is all about self-giving, and the title that emerges up from this prayer is also related to integral love of the mother, an anthem of integral love. It's all about self-giving, and love forms the core of this integral yoga. Sri Aurobindo has protagonized the psychic being in this yoga, and psychic being is the hub, the source of love in human beings. Its nature is love. These prayers and meditations are mother's own conversations with the divine. And it is one book which gives all aspects, all dimensions, every possible angle of true bhakti and love for the divine. Each of her prayers reveals something of her love for the divine in some way or the other. Reading these prayers, concentrating on them, even just reading them, even without understanding, one can really invoke her consciousness, and this I'm speaking from experience. She's very much present in these words. These are her living words. So assuring to feel that these words are there. There is an assurance that the mother is constantly giving through these prayers, an assurance that problems laid bare to the divine are always sorted out. And this yoga, integral yoga, actually starts tempestuously when one opens to the mother, her words, her consciousness, her presence, in whichever way it is available to us. So let us read this prayer. Also, this is a prayer. In the last prayer on May 23rd, the mother has written about the sublime nature of love, what it is actually, the divine love. And so much so that these two prayers are actually, this one and the earlier one, they are just resonating and pulsating with her love. And this, through this anthem of integral love, the mother is actually telling us how to learn to love truly. When the mother talks about love, it is always like a song, a sacred song, a beautiful hymn offered to the divine. And so vast, so intense is her love, so encompassing is her love, that she is ready to plunge right into the darkness and pour her love there and work with her love there to bring the inconscience out of that inconscience and move it towards consciousness. So this prayer is a beautiful anthem of integral love of the mother. The mother, Sri Aurobindo says, the mother is the consciousness and she is the force of the supreme. And above all, she creates. And personally too, the mother has actually condescended to plunge into darkness to bring it to light. She has gone into falsehood to bring it to truth. And she has plunged herself into death for that godlike life to appear on earth. Asato ma sadgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityor ma amritam gamaya. But what kind of love is this? Yes, every yoga talks about moving from darkness to the light, from falsehood to the truth, and from death to immortality. What kind of love is this of the mother that it is just reverse? She is plunging into the darkness to bring it to light. So let us read the prayer. O my sweet Master, let me not be submerged by outer things. They have no interest, no savour for me. If I busy myself with them, it is because I feel that such is thy will, and the work must be accomplished integrally, down to the least details of the action and substance. But it is quite enough to turn one's attention to them and infuse thy forces into them as much as possible. They must not be allowed to take precedence of the true realities in one's consciousness. O my sweet Master, I aspire for thee, for the knowledge of what thou art, for identification with thee. I ask for a greater love, growing always purer, always vaster, always more intense. And I find myself as it were submerged in matter. Is this thy reply? As thou hast thyself accepted to be thus submerged in matter, so as to awaken it gradually to consciousness, is this the result of a more perfect identification with thee? Is this not thy answer to me? If thou wouldest learn to love truly, this is how thou shouldest love, in darkness and unconsciousness. O my Lord, my sweet Master, thou knowest that I belong to thee, and that always I want what thou willest. But do not let any doubt about what thou willest arise in me. Enlighten me in some way in the immutable peace of the heart. Let me be submerged in darkness if that is necessary, but at least let me know that it is thou who willest it. Lord, in response, I hear singing within my heart the hymn of gladness of thy divine and permanent presence. If we look at the earlier prayers of the mother, May 16 she writes, "It is not through concentration that thou wilt realize oneness, it is by spreading out in all." She goes on to say in the same prayer, "Do not delight in the ecstatic contemplation of this union. Accomplish the mission I have entrusted to thee upon earth." She is hearing a command. The joys of perfect union cannot come until what has to be done is done. So, what is it that needs to be done? What is this mission? The mother herself has defined, she has explained about love in very simple terms. She has said it is the joy of identity, which seeks its ultimate expression in the bliss of union. And love in its purity of its origin, is an urge. And this urge has got two poles. One is the pole, extreme power of attraction, and the other is the irresistible need for absolute self-giving. So, when Sri Aurobindo talks about that above all she creates, a disciple once asked the mother. Mother used to explain Sri Aurobindo's writings and what he has written. So a disciple asks the mother, "When the Supreme Lord told you to make the world, how did you know what has to be done?" And the mother sweetly replied, "I had nothing to learn, for the Supreme contains everything in itself, is everything. The knowledge of the whole world and the power to make it, he has it. When he decided to make the world, he first brought forth the knowledge of the world and the power to make it, and that is me. And he commanded me to make the world, and I did that." And we know that she poured herself out after that. So, when the mother says consciousness is the creatrix of the universe and love is its savior, One wonders when I read this, I wondered. Mother is the creatrix. She is the creatrix of the universe, and she is its savior. So the question, what has to be done? What needs to be done? And a very beautiful question asked by a disciple is, so why did you come like us? Why did you not come in the form that you truly are? And the mother said, again so beautifully, she said that because if I did not come like you, I would not be close enough to you to tell you, become what I am. And on May 20th, there is also an answer that she gets. What has to be done is to be done. What is that thing that needs to be done? The answer comes in this prayer. Thy immutable domain of pure love and indivisible unity must be brought into close communion with the divine world of all the other domains, right down to the most material, in which thou art the center and very constitution of each atom. So it is about diffusion upon the earth. It is something that one needs to be focused on. The union is there, but what is the purpose of this union? This love, this feeling of oneness has to translate itself into acts of divine service. And what is this divine work, this divine service that the mother keeps on talking of? Matter has to be divinized. What are we? We are just intermediaries. This aggregate that I call myself is an intermediary. For what? For the divine work, to divinize matter. That's all. If one looks at as the ashram was developing in Pondicherry, more and more life was responding, and more people were coming to the mother and Sri Aurobindo's. And when they came, the mother is of course pouring out her love, and out of love she started organizing things. This love was organizing. Initially there was a lot of resistance to accept her, and then mother patiently with her, slowly with her love, what she brought in was, she used to give them work. The initial ashramites, they were doing work. Somebody was working in the timber godown and he was a doctor. And somebody was responsible for sweeping, mopping. They were doing all sorts of jobs which they had never thought that they will do. And through this, the mother was only trying to, pour out her love and touching them and invoking that self-giving, which love is all about. Whatever work it is, you have to give out yourself. And the love that you feel for the mother, Sri Aurobindo, the love that you feel in your heart has to come out. And what way it has to come out? It has to come out through works. Put that consciousness, that love into the work. And then the work becomes divine. And when it happens, it touches everybody around. And then the transformation starts. So this is how love is working. Mother had, Sri Aurobindo and the mother had a very dynamic woman from America who came, Judith Tiber, and Sri Aurobindo gave her the name of Jyotipriya. And Sri Aurobindo asked one of his disciples, Kapali Shastri, to teach her the Vedas, Sanskrit, because he felt that she is going to take forward the work of the integral yoga and she is going to introduce in America. And she was an erudite scholar in herself and a very, very dynamic woman. And she had that intense, and the mother says that her intensity to love and pour out and translate it into works was so much. And that is why she had taken birth. So when she was working in the US and trying to work on integral yoga and set up this East-West cultural center over there, she would tell mother everything. And the mother would very patiently tell her that in you, the psychic being is awakened. That seed of love is there, it is flourishing in you. It has to pour out. It is for the others. You already have realized the union is there, but you have to pour it out. You have to give it out to others who are not awakened to this love. So let us read this prayer bit by bit and relish this beautiful anthem. O my sweet Master, let me not be submerged by outer things. They have no interest. no saver for me. So when one has realized the divine, one has realized the supreme reality, outer things stop holding any kind of interest, or the glitter and the glamour of the outer things is no longer there. There is no longer any attraction. So because the whole movement is turned inwards. She says, if I busy myself with them, it is because I feel that such is thy will, and the work must be accomplished integrally, down to the least details of the action and the substance. So she says, she's talking to the divine, saying that if you have involved me in this, then there must be some purpose in this. And the whole attitude is over here is different. That first of all, one really cannot take interest in the most mundane, in the most material things, in the, the day-to-day chores. And one is focused so much on the inner life that to bring out this consciousness to the outward things is actually very difficult. And one actually starts relishing this beatific state of union with the divine and the enlightenment that happens. So there is a tendency to be drawn inwards. But Mother says, because the work has to be complete, it is an integral yoga. The work has to be done and completed integrally. So I occupy myself with the outer. And it is not only that you must do the outer works superficially because you are turned inwards. No. The outer work also has to be completed integrally. And how can it be done? By putting consciousness into everything that we do. So one must infuse that consciousness which one has awakened. That is the whole purpose, and bring it out into the material fields. This is the purpose of the physical life. So how does one do it? How does one do this? Turning inwards is, and also bring it outward. So an example that one can take is that of a painter and a painting. A painter paints. But what makes the painting come alive? It is the consciousness of the painter, his passion for the art, his love for the art. His skills are pouring out to express what is within. So it is like that. So the consciousness that is within awakened, it must also be infused in the outer world. She goes on to say in the prayer, but it is quite enough to turn one's attention to them and infuse thy forces into them as much as possible. They must not be allowed to take precedence of the true realities in one's consciousness. So, being in the outer world, yes, we must infuse the consciousness into matter and handling them with care and concern and love for. There is a prayer where the mother is leaving her place and she is moving to another place and she has to leave everything. I think it was Japan, I'm not sure, but she is leaving and then she is praying for these material objects which had served her. And she says, she's praying for them that after me, let them go into the hands of somebody who would take as much care and pour out as much love on them also. So such is her love. Every household thing, every small thing, even sharpening a pencil, even sweeping floor, mopping, any kind of activity. The moment we infuse the consciousness, the moment we pour something out of it into that, the work starts becoming interesting. And the inner awakening, the consciousness which has awakened you, it will manifest in some way or other through that work. But the mother says that, yes, we must do outward things, infusing the consciousness, fully alert, that and then offer it. But such works, one should not also become so much preoccupied with them, so much engulfed with them, so much occupied, that one forgets one's own inner realities and they take a back seat. No, it has to move together. Whatever is realized inwards has to translate into outward acts. She goes on to say, O my sweet master, I aspire for thee, for the knowledge of what thou art, for identification with thee. I ask for a greater love, growing always purer, always vaster, always more intense. And I find myself as it were submerged in matter? Is this thy reply? So, love, there is so much of mystery about love. Love is that mysterious element which can give spontaneous delight. And love seeks union. Not only union, it seeks intensity of the union. So here the mother she wants to be identified with that love of the Supreme. She is the Supreme love. She wants to get totally identified with that. And not only she is asking that love is infinite. There is no end. It is an endless love. And she is praying for it to grow more purer, more vaster, more intense. So it is seeking intensity. It is seeking wideness. And she is in bhakti, when one is feeling love for the divine, the love is overflowing. There is an outpouring. And automatically it happens. And there is a wideness it seeks. Why? Because as we grow, as the consciousness is growing, so in the outer world also, the experiences are also growing. And these experiences are coming from the outside world. And they need this light, they need this touch, they need this love. And for the sake of fulfillment. And so that is the outpouring that happens. And that is why this wideness, this love, when it is seeking wideness, when it is seeking more intensity, when it is seeking to pour out, it is because of this, that it is touching everything around us. And everything that is dark, everything that is obscure, and everything that is not enlightened wants to get that touch. And this is the attraction. It is pulling it towards. The love is pouring out, and there is a kind of a want, there is a kind of an aspiration. They also want to get lightened up. And the love is doing. So the love widens and widens and widens. And it encompasses all experiences, puts the light, invokes her presence there, and then turns it towards more light. And this is an endless, it is endless, so vast it is. Nature and self must go together. And that's what Sri Aurobindo and the mother did. So it is not only important to realize the self, when the nature, its transformation of the nature also has to go alongside. So nature and self have to go together. So in 1914, when the mother, she came to Pondicherry and she met Sri Aurobindo, and there was a time when she posed this question, should we realize first and then come back and do the work? And Sri Aurobindo said no. The work, the realization and the work has to go together. Because in this way, we will universalize and take everybody's problems with us. And they decided to do it. And so the self and the nature, whatever realizations, it moved alongside nature. It is not without the nature. So, and we see that life blossomed. People started flocking into the ashram. And the whole purpose, that is the individual sadhana and the collective sadhana, proceeded together. There was a merger. So whatever the self is gaining, whatever the self is realizing, there is an outpouring. It is touching everything around, changing nature, transforming, transfiguring, and bringing more and more people. So more and more obscurities, it's like an endless kind of an attraction which is happening. More and more, there is so much of darkness, more and more comes in, experiences come in, more light is poured, they awaken, and then they start enlightening everything around them. The transformation widens. It moves at a very fast speed. So that is what Sri Aurobindo and the mother, when the ashram started taking its seeds, this is how it developed. The individual and the collective sadhana proceeded together. So she is posing this discovery to the divine and saying that the more I want the love to grow, and the more vaster and purer I want it to be, the more I find that I am getting more and more engrossed in material world. What is this? So normally the material life is there and the spiritual life is there. And the antagonism that, okay, there is an inward realization and the world outside is outside, it will go on. No, she bridges that antagonism. And how beautifully she does that. Of course, I mean, there is a bhakti. We have seen Mirabai, and she lets go of the world and she is totally submerged in the divine realization. But this bhakti of the mother, this love of the mother it's so different. It is so different from the other kind of loves that we have heard, or the other kind of bhakti. It is not the kind of a love which is pining and becoming despondent that, oh, you are not there, I am there. It is moving with the knowledge that the divine is there. It is moving with that assurance. And that is how we know that the mother, how she was able to go into inconscience, into the subconscious, into all planes. And she could bring out people from there. She could transform. Even the darkest of the corners would get lighted up because she knew how to do it. She is an embodiment of love. She carried that love. She carried that vastness. She carried that wideness with her. The prayer, as thou hast thyself accepted to be thus submerged in matter, so as to awaken it gradually to consciousness, is this the result of a more perfect identification with thee? So no running away from life, no running away from works. She is seeing the divine, she has realized it. She is seeing the divine submerged in matter and the need for realization of the divine in everything. Not only within her, not only within the divine itself, but in everything that has come out from the divine. Whether it is unconscious doesn't matter. That too has to get transformed. So she asked the question, is this what is meant by perfect identification? And these prayers of the mother, when she started talking about this vastness and wideness of love, sublime love, quite a few of them are there. And in one of the prayers in June, she says, I am nothing. She's talking about herself. I am nothing but thy inexhaustible love. I penetrate all things, living within the heart of each atom. I kindle therein the fire which purifies and transfigures, the fire that never burns out, the messenger flame of thy beatitude, realizer of all perfections. And somewhere in the earlier prayers we have also read that the divine is telling her, don't you see me radiant in the very cells? Don't you see me radiating there? Don't you see my light over there? And after a few days she is writing this. So is this not thy answer to me? That for bliss, for this love, this union to be perfect, this perfection, it has to come down to the matter, very heart of an atom, and then transform. And then only this union can be complete. If thou wouldest learn to love truly, she gets the answer. If thou wouldest learn to love truly, this is how thou shouldest love, in darkness and unconsciousness. And this is something unprecedented. What a love. This is a love which we have never heard of before. In Savitri, Sri Aurobindo says, for man thou seekest not for thyself alone. When the world mother is revealing Savitri to herself, that she is the world mother. For man thou seekest not for thyself alone. Only if God assumes the human mind and puts on mortal ignorance for his cloak, can he help man to grow into the God. Man, human, follows in God's human steps. Accepting his darkness, thou must bring to him light. Accepting his sorrow, thou must bring to him bliss. And isn't this what she's telling to the disciple? That if I did not come like you, how would I be close to you? How would I tell you, become what I am? It is love's nature to identify completely with the object of love. And this manifestation of love in creation, it is the supreme holocaust of the divine love. It is the supreme holocaust. There is no other word which can explain it better. What power it contains. And this is what the mother is constantly doing. Even in the unconscious of the cells, she goes there. She works there into the realms of unconscious, and she's pouring out her love to transform that matter right at the heart of the atom, the cells. This is what she is doing. And it is not only that she is doing it in this life, she has done it in wherever there was a possibility of love manifesting. She was there. She was there and pushing it. making it wider, making it vaster. O my Lord, my sweet Master, thou knowest that I belong to thee, and that I always want what thou willest. But do not let any doubt about what thou willest arise in me. Enlighten me in some way, in the immutable peace of the heart. Let me be submerged in darkness, if that is necessary. But at least let me know that it is thou who willest it. Now, this, how much more profound can love be? How profound is this? She is plunging into the darkness, knowing that it is darkness. Because everything has come out from the divine. So everything carries that consciousness. Even the unconscious is full of the intellect, full of the divine, but it is only involuted. It has to come out. The cry from the unconscious. She is responding to that by pouring herself out. And she is even ready to let go of the bliss of union, of the realizations she has had, not only in this life, in the past lives. She is plunging into that. She is going into the dungeons of darkness, into filth, into sewer. And to what? To bring it to show that light which she is carrying. Because she knows that it is the only power that can transform. And annihilating, demolishing is not her way. It is transformation. It is transfiguring. So if she says, if you want me to fight a battle, I will fight a battle. If you want me to go into darkness, I will go into darkness. So such is the readiness. And it is this is the sublime power of love. It can make you do anything for a greater truth. What self-giving? And love is all about self-giving, the outpouring selflessly. All she wants, but then she says that, let me know that it is thy will. So here she is just saying that let it not be any titanic ego in me or any kind of attachment or any kind of lower movement in me that is making me do this. It has to have your will. And with your consent and with your sanction, I will jump into it. So she is basically, see, the divine, there is a profound line in Sri Aurobindo's Savitri. The whole universe is only he and she. So this is a play between the supreme with the supreme. The manifestation and all, everything is for that utter delight. So here she is saying that let it not, this, that I am ready to jump and ready to, this self-giving should not have even the slightest trace of any attachment or any lower moment. I must know that it is thou will, that you willest, and that is why I am doing it. So it is just a kind of an assurance that she is seeking. We hear about renouncing outer life for the inner life. Here it is a reverse. We are seeing the reverse. She is renouncing everything, even her greatest achievements on the path of this yoga. She is ready to let go. And she is ready to bring out, she is ready to love the inconscious, become that. And becoming that, she wants to transform it. Only love has this power. आग का दरिया डूब के जाना है. Yes, it is like that. One must know how to totally submerge itself. And love has that power. She says, once she's posing this question and putting it to the divine, and she's getting an instant answer. So here is one of those prayers where an instant answer is coming to her. O Lord, in response, I hear singing within my heart the hymn of gladness of thy divine and permanent presence. There is a singing in her heart. There is so much of joy that, she knows that it is the sanction of the Supreme. She herself is that. She herself is an embodiment of love. Yet, look at the humility. She is posing it to the divine. And she knows that the divine will is there. It is what she has come here to do. And she will not let go of any opportunity, any chance, wherever there has been a possibility, wherever the being, the individual, the instrument has been ready, it has received. It has received plenty from her. And those, mother says the love is pouring out constantly. But the one who is received has to open to it. You have to be open to it. Only when you open to it, you receive. If there is any kind of darkness, if there is any kind of movement which is not allowing, it is because of the weakness of the instrument. It is not because of love. Love is pouring, it is touching everything. And because it is touching, even when you are not open to it, has the power. It will go inside, seep into it, penetrate. Somewhere in the last prayer, she also says that it overflows, this love overflows, it floods, it penetrates, it regenerates, it animates. So this is the power of love. Slightest touch, yes, it may take time, but it is going to come. And the moment you open to her love, it comes in leaps and bounds. And one has to be also ready to take it. So the wideness, so the preparation, all these sufferings that one goes through, it prepares you for receiving that love. So this permanent presence is possible only when at all states of the being, from the darkest of the darkness to the brightest light, from the death to right to life, that you can see it. See, in all planes, in all domains, it is there. This love has touched and transformed. This is the permanent presence. It is there. It is there more than we know about it, more than we can think of it. Even when we ask the mother for her love, when we turn to her, it is not that she will pour out her love. She pours out her love totally, wholly, infinitely. And it is because the instrument is not yet ready. And that is why the mother has spoken so much about the instrument. The instrument has to be ready. It has to open and everything. Once the slightest opening is also there, it has got the power that it will enlighten other domains which need that light. Without self-giving, mother says, there is no love. And she is embodiment of absolute self-giving, absolute love. So one who is not open to the love, in its essence, will not be able to see that the love is also pouring on him. They always speak of the rights of love, mother says. They always speak of the rights of love. But the only right of love is the right of self-giving. And love alone can love. Love alone can bring more love. Love alone can make it wider. So it is that power. It is complete in itself and it can magnify, it can multiply. So it is infinite. It is an endless ocean of love that she is. I just wanted to read out something which the mother has written about love and what it actually stands for. And she's talking of her love, basically. She's talking of she has also narrated a very beautiful parable about how love came to, and this we discussed in the last prayer. Here now she's talking about how profound is the manifestation of divine love. The manifestation of the love of the divine in the world was the great Holocaust, the supreme self-giving, the perfect consciousness accepted to be merged and absorbed into the unconsciousness of matter so that consciousness might be awakened. This was the supreme love, to accept the loss of a perfect condition of supreme divinity, its absolute consciousness, its infinite knowledge, to unite with the unconsciousness, to dwell in the world with ignorance and darkness. And yet perhaps none would call it love. We are humans. We are not able to see that. And yet perhaps none would call it love, for it does not clothe itself in a superficial sentiment. It makes no demand in exchange for what it has done, no show of its sacrifice. And we see that mother, when she came to Pondicherry also, she wanted to be in the background. She did not want to. And wherever, it is not only, this is the mark of the sacrifice, that one sacrifices and also forgets. One does not want anything in return, not even an acknowledgement. It is only total self-giving, giving and giving, and more of it. The more it gives, the more joy, the more bliss, the more union it. And there is a joy. The mother, when she's pouring out her love, even in our human life, we see that, isn't it? So that is why the mother's love for the child is considered as one of the supreme love in the human relationships. So the mother has always wanted to be in the background, and we see it if we look slightly back also, she has been there. The Vedas, they talk a little bit about the mother and the goddess and all. In Tantra, yes, Tantra is also, as it is given in the scriptures, it is about the different forms of the mother moving from one stature to the another, and finally it leads to the union with the Parabrahma Paramatma. Here in Sri Aurobindo's yoga, we see a kind of a reversal of the entire thing. I will talk about it in a short while. Yes, but the mothers, she wanted to stay in the background. If we look at, Sita, we have read the Ramayana. Sita, she is an incarnation of the mother. Okay, and what does she do? She goes back into the earth. If you see the end of how she just, the earth parts and she moves, because the earth is not ready to receive. Draupadi, she is an incarnation of Mahakali. The whole world, the war raged because of, she is right in the center, and the war is raging to do what? To bring Aryavarta, that kingdom which Sri Krishna wanted. And even in Christianity, we see that they speak of the mother of seven sorrows. Wherever Christ was having suffering, pain and all, it is in some form or the other, this mother of sorrows, she comes and helps. And yes, of course, then there are lots of stories, but they are not stories because they have carried some truth in them, so they are alive even till today. They are not just mere legends or parables. There is a lot of truth. So one has to discern and speak and just pick up that truth from even mythological stories or the legends. So the tapasya of love is the most difficult. It is the most potent and integral of all, the austerities that the mother has talked of. It is the most powerful. And yes, preparation has to be there. Peace, equanimity, wideness required. Definitely, yes. And Sri Aurobindo says, open to the mother. Now, this is he says he has kind of reversed, he has brought mother to the forefront. There is a very big reason for this. The mother is the creator. And up till now, she was in the background. There was no acknowledgement from the human, from the earth consciousness. But now she has come as the mother. So he establishes her, he puts her in the forefront, and he keeps telling, open to the mother, open to her love, open to her presence. It is not without any reason. And we see that usually what happens in this yoga is, generally speaking, there must be exceptions, and there are. But usually what happens is one comes into this integral yoga as either through Sri Aurobindo's literature or by hearing about him or reading a little bit. And then that's an opening that happens, generally speaking. And people open to the mother later. Though Sri Aurobindo's literature is very difficult to understand. It is, one reads it, and people who have read it with a very clear mind, they have felt that it is leading them to an infinite vastness. They get this kind of a feeling, and then they are hooked to it. But mother's writings are so simple, so lucid, they clarify doubts and everything so clearly. Yet, one at a later stage, how people open to the mother's literature, to her, is through Sri Aurobindo, the Supreme Lord. And this, he brings her to the forefront, saying, she is the creatrix, open to her. Savitri is all about her, the world mother, the transcendental mother, revealing herself to her. So when one reads Sri Aurobindo, there are various reactions one faces. And Sri Aurobindo, in his own way, he has said that this is all some kind of an imperfect yoga to come in contact with the mother. And once one comes in contact with the mother, this yoga proceeds and it becomes so simple. Then one realizes, arey, ye itna easy tha. It is, so when the mother has said that the moment you come in contact with me, when I initiate somebody, I reveal myself entirely to that person. You may forget the mother. Mother will never forget you. She will pull you out. From dark dungeons, she will pull you out. From the darkness. If once you have turned to her, yes, and that opening is the key, and Sri Aurobindo has shown the way. And that is why you see in Tantra, there are stages of, and Sri Aurobindo, first of all, what he does is he establishes the mother. So, Tantra, that is why Sri Aurobindo has also given so much of importance to it. And along with Sanatan Dharma, he said, without the mother, if the mother had not come, my yoga would have remained very personal and in books. After coming, it started manifesting. After coming, the world grew. So, he has given, if it is not without reason that he has done it. So, one may also the processes, we usually turn towards Sri Aurobindo's writings and all, and through his writings we come to the mother's writing and we come in touch with the mother and her contact and all. So how do we open to the mother? How do we love her? So another secret is, it is actually the mother who is pouring her love in you to become that love that you feel for her. The fact is that when she pours, she pours. She transforms the consciousness and everything that is needed will go away. She will dissolve everything. Her love has got that power. And she will make you feel that love. So it is her love making you realize that love within you. So it overflows, it floods, it penetrates, regenerates, animates. And what else is there? All life is love indeed if one knows how to live it. She is all love. She is there telling us, open to me. They say, in the beginning was the Word. Is she not the Word? And Sri Aurobindo has said it in Savitri. She is the Word. So she is the creatrix. She is the Savior. And there are many openings one can have. Just by looking at her photograph, she has put her consciousness in the photographs. If you look at any photograph of the mother, they say the eyes are the mirror of the soul. And if you look at a mother's, even as simple thing as a photograph, can be an opening. It may be in the background, it may be lying at home, it may be there, but it will have its power and it will bring you to her. Such is the power of her love. If you look at her photographs, it is like, look at her eyes, two tranquil eyes of boundless thought, looked into man's to see the God to come. You feel you have dissolved into her. You have become like that. A bliss, a light, a power, a flame white love, caught all into a soul immense embrace. This is her love. She is embracing each and everything and turning it to godlike elements, turning it towards the divine. She herself is love. She herself has become love. And in Savitri, some very profound lines. This is argument to the death again, she says. If one reads the debate of love, debate between love and death in Savitri, it talks so much about, it is her love, nothing can stand in front of her love. She tells the god of death, you are my shadow and an instrument. And finally he gives up and he dissolves into the void. So, and Sri Aurobindo and the mother, they have not looked at death as something that is the end or it finishes or it demolishes. It is a part of life. Because of death, there is that urge for immortality. And what is creating this urge? It is that love. One has to rise. And this is the delight. To move towards the immortal, to move towards the supreme. And that is why so many manifestations, plants, animals, even the inanimate objects, don't they have consciousness? They have. Scientists will tell you that atom, it is vibrating, there is free space, electrons are moving here and there, jumping. So it is not an inert piece of matter. There is consciousness, but that has to be awakened. Everything has to be awakened and turned Godward. And that is the delight. profound lines from Savitri. Love must not cease to live upon earth, for love is the bright link twixt earth and heaven. Love is the far transcendence angel here. Love is man's lean on the absolute. So with this line, love is man's lean on the absolute, what is it? It's a guarantee, it's an assurance that because the love is there, everything will get divinized. It's just a matter of time. And we are in that process. Sri Aurobindo and the mother, they took human forms for what? To bring down the supramental, the next stage of evolution. This is their love, total outpouring of their love, and they are there. What big assurance. It is there, love is all around us. There is a very beautiful song in English, though it is a love song, it is a serenade, but it says, when I need love, I just close my eyes and I touch love. Never knew there was so much love, keeping me warm night and day. When I need love, I hold out my hand and I touch love. Very profound song. This is what happens when you start reading about the mother's love, you start feeling, you get in touch with the mother. Everything around, somehow, that is the attraction, that somehow everything just starts revolving around her. And this is her supreme power of attraction. Because she wants to give. She says, come take from me. So turn to the mother. Sri Aurobindo has said again and again. There is a story in the ashram. Nirod Baron ji, he was one of the earlier disciples of Sri Aurobindo. There is a very famous book he has written, 12 Years with Sri Aurobindo. And there is a small narration, a very interesting one. But it was Sri Aurobindo's way of telling, look, the mother is everything, turn to her. Even if you turn to me, you will get only 25%. If you turn to the mother, you will get, what you will get from me, you will get, but you will get more than that. So, there is an incident, he's about to play a match, and the ashram is a vibrant place. Everything, all activities are happening. Because through ultimately through work the transformation has to take place. So, he is going to play a tennis match and he tells Sri Aurobindo, he seeks his blessings and he says, Lord, give me your force. Sri Aurobindo smiles. And he goes and plays the match, he loses the match. He comes and complains to Sri Aurobindo and says, you said? Then he says, what could I do? Sri Aurobindo says, what could I do? Your opponent was praying to the mother. And what is mother? Who is mother? She is my force. So, open to her. It is easy. In fact, the opening is there. She has put all means, every source of opening to her is there. It is within us only. Let us read the prayer once more. O my sweet Master, let me not be submerged by outer things. They have no interest, no savour for me. If I busy myself with them, it is because I feel that such is thy will, and the work must be accomplished integrally, down to the least details of the action and substance. But it is quite enough to turn one's attention to them and infuse thy forces into them as much as possible. They must not be allowed to take precedence of the true realities in one's consciousness. O my sweet Master, I aspire for thee, for the knowledge of what thou art, for identification with thee. And the supreme knowledge, what is the supreme knowledge? It is that the entire universe is he and she, and it is born out of love, and to love we must go back. It is love. The supreme knowledge is love. There is no other explanation. I ask for a greater love, growing always purer, always vaster, always more intense. And I find myself as it were submerged in matter. Is this thy reply? As thou hast thyself accepted to be thus submerged in matter, so as to awaken it gradually to consciousness, is this the result of a more perfect identification with thee? Is this not thy answer to me? If thou wouldest learn to love truly, this is how thou shouldest love. In darkness and unconsciousness. O my Lord, my sweet Master, thou knowest that I belong to thee, and that always I want what thou willest. But do not let me doubt about what thou willest arise in me. Enlighten me in some way in the immutable peace of the heart. Let me be submerged in darkness if that is necessary, but at least let me know that it is thou who willest it. Lord, in response, I hear singing within my heart the hymn of gladness of thy divine and permanent presence.